friends, welcome to the next episode of Tom and Dave Discover DotVVM. I'm Thomas.
Hello, and I'm Dave.
Okay, so what will this episode be about? We will be talking about AI?
Yes.
Okay.
An AI episode, but with also a lot of information about upcoming .vvm things that I've been working on.
That's true. You are one of the people who
Yes.
had found time to fix a lot of things. We didn't have much time and much effort for last couple of years. So that was really great. Finally, there was some progress on .vvm extension for Visual Studio. So okay, so let's look at what have you been doing for a couple of recent weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's take a look at our new. Shall we start with the language server or with the composite controls? I think we've shown composite controls before. We have now added more and more support for them. Now they're based on saving the composite control, so it reflects almost immediately. You don't have to rebuild and rerun the project to see composite controls in action in the .html pages. So that's great. I think we've shown this in the Tailwind episode.
Yeah.
So today let's focus more on the language server.
But we will see the same functionality, but it will be
Yes.
working in VS Code.
Yes.
Because this what we have currently open in Visual Studio, it's a project called .vvm.integration, and it contains extension for the big Visual Studio. It's not visible here because we have two solution files. One has about 80 projects or something like that. That's the big Visual Studio extension, and the number of projects is so big because we support multiple versions of Visual Studio. So for almost every project there is a shared project which actually contains the code, and then there is a project for VS 2026, 2026 Insiders, 2022, and 2019. So for every component, we have like 5 projects. And these 4 for Visual Studio, they are almost empty. They just contain references to the correct DLLs in Visual Studio directories, no NuGet packages. Whenever we use NuGet package there, it breaks something because once Microsoft updates their DLLs that ship with Visual Studio, we have to depend on the same one, on the same binaries. And then the shared project, it contains the code base because we try to have the same code for all versions.
Yes, of course.
So that's not shown here. However, some of the projects, for example, this markup analysis shared, it is also part of the big extension because most of the magic happens here.
Yeah, which was amazing because we have the core processing happens in markup analysis. So as long as language server supports markup analysis, that's good enough because given enough context, markup analysis does basically everything. So so the core stayed the same basically.
Yeah,
we didn't have to change much.
Yeah, like just for example, here is the IntelliSense folder, and we have a classification, which is basically syntax highlighting. So it detects the tokens in your file and tells Visual Studio, okay, this should be like this category, and that then a theme is applied on that. So in the light theme, that has some color. In dark theme, it has a different color, and these things. Then there is the completion, which is the most important one, probably you most like the most this one because it's an IntelliSense for data binding. So like here we have a lot of logic that decides at what point what you will see in that auto completion menu.
Yeah, and also it's not that simple because what you're allowed to see is defined somewhere else. In your view model, it's defined what you can see in the view.
Exactly.
So it's a quite complex process to get the information correctly.
And we are using Roslyn for that because if we would use reflection to look at the DLLs, that would work only if the project is without any build errors. Once you have build errors, the reflection will not work because you don't have the DLL. It cannot be produced, or it's the previous version of it. So we use Roslyn, which basically can parse C# code and provide us with a like syntax tree and semantic model. And even though there are some build errors or if something is missing, it will not be in the semantic model, but we can still make IntelliSense for the things that are actually present there.
Yes,
Yeah.
which was actually the part that I worked on, the composite controls,
Yeah.
because that's basically a C# class. So I have a huge Roslyn analysis there for the C# class. That's the composite control, and analyzing what it can do and how to parse the parameters to show them in the view and things like that, which was very hard.
Yeah. And the next part, for example, is error tagging. So if you make any mistake in the markup, that green squiggles that appear there, these are produced by this error tagger.
Yes.
And also there is a full, like, huge number of files to represent the .vvm markup, because like every markup file, it parses to some kind of like a tree. We call it, in this case, we call it design time tree. So all the nodes are implemented here, and like they also have a lot of logic.
Yep.
For that. And here is another folder for binding compilation, which is also some kind of like syntax tree representing the expression that is there. And the great thing on this project is that it doesn't depend on Visual Studio. It doesn't reference anything from Visual Studio. So technically, this core of the extension was designed very cleverly by our colleagues who worked in the project in the past, because we could just take it and put it, reference it from this standalone project. And this project is, as you can see, it's empty.
Yep.
But it has the reference to concrete version of Roslyn, because in the Visual Studio branches, the Roslyn is took from Visual Studio itself.
Yeah.
But here we just reference Roslyn, and then some shared assemblies from this Visual Studio, and this markup analyzes shared project. And we are able to run this core, which implements most of the extension logic as a standalone process. And that's what we need for the language server. And the language server will allow us to make the same experience or similar experience in VS Code, in Rider, and also most applications like AI coding agents like Codex, OpenCode, GitHub Copilot, CLI. If they are currently not supporting language server protocol, they will very soon, because when the large language model generates some code, it's great if it can ask the language server, is this code correct? Are there any errors?
Yep.
What are the options here? What IntelliSense would give me, what options I have to put on that particular location in the input. So I think that's it. So your part was the language server. Yes. So can you tell us something about that?
Well, basically, the language server is a huge file watcher with events inside of it. So what we use is OmniSharp language server protocol. It's the simplest way to get language server working, because it abstractizes all of the stuff needed for language server work, which are mostly handlers. And we have a huge amount of handlers for everything the language server can do. Basically, the way it works is VS Code opens up a folder, which they call a workspace, and within that workspace, they start asking questions. And as you work, they start asking questions of the workspace you're working in. So imagine you're working on a .vvm project and you open up a file. What should happen? Well, language server has to emit an event, which is in here actually. We have, text document sync handler. And we can say, someone opened a text document, which means that we need to do something. Now, what we do depends on what we are allowed to do, because every language server does something a little bit differently, but usually the standard set is you analyze the file, you save it to the cache, and you watch it. You watch the changes as they happen, and as the changes happen, you reanalyze it, and you can look for these changes in other events. Basically, it's a huge event-based information gateway through JSON RPC, where we get information like we changed something, now this new syntax looks like this, give us back what errors happened or something like that.
And basically, so they will tell us, okay, the user opened this file,
Yes.
and then the user changed something in this file, like either deleted some substring of that file or added some substring on some particular location. And what we are doing here, we parse the file when
Yes.
it's open.
Yes, we parse the file, we
Yeah.
save it to the cache because we need to
Yeah,
have cached every
yeah.
file.
Mhm.
It's very important for performance. And when we see that context changed, we basically, this is the simplest model. We sync in full, which maybe will change to partial syncing, but this seems to be working nicely now, so it's fine. And we basically get the new version of the entire text, so we can
Okay.
reparse it again, and we can call diagnostics publisher and schedule the new reparsing of this file, and then wait, update it in our document manager, which is the caching system, and then basically say, okay, so did something happen? Did someone break something? And that's it.
Yeah.
Now that's just working with files. You can also, during the work with files, you can ask for stuff. You can ask for completions, you can ask for hover, for definitions. You can basically see everything in the code, and everything has to be implemented. But
And basically, this is like these trigger characters. They
yes, as you
tell-
write the trigger
Yeah.
characters, they tell the
Yeah.
we send the language server user wrote this, and the language server returns, okay, that's one of my trigger characters. I will handle this like this, which is a huge like if else tree for getting the bindings, the context, the correct completions, the binding completions, then the deduplicating them. If we should collect element completions, we have a lot of completions there. Because we can show you the within the binding something, we can show you something from the view model, or you're just simply writing a new what is it called,
Directive?
element, new
okay.
element, so we have to show you all of the possible elements, and basically everything has to be included at once, because we don't know what you're looking at currently. We don't have enough context. But with enough context, we can basically use the markup analysis as is, and then it's a huge translator. Basically, our language server is a huge translator between I'm trying to get something, I'm trying to send an event, I want to get a response, and in the middle, there's the markup analysis, which also needs information, which is very, very hard to get, but we've built a very nice project system and configuration providers basically working with the Roslyn project. We cache everything, we save everything, we load the solution, we watch the solution change, and as it changes, we try to reset the solution to the new version, and we try to get the most up-to-date information for it. So basically, let's take a look at one basic. DotVVM project is the core of everything, where we have a solution, a workspace, a Roslyn project, and a project info, project items, stuff we need to take, we need to watch as they change, and we need to update our information accordingly as we update the documents.
Yeah, and the problem here is that this structure needs to apply the changes when you change something in the file system. So for example, if you change something in the project, like add a NuGet package, we have to use file system watcher to detect this change and update this structure to match the current state of the file system, because some changes can be done through the language server. Like if you open the file in the editor and change something, we will get this event through this handler mechanism. However, if you write git switch to another branch, a lot of files at the same time can change, and we have to respond to that. And that's not very easy, because there can be many file system changes, and also when the editor is saving the file to the disk, but you can have unsaved changes
Yes.
in the window. So like what has priority, what the user can see in the window and not what is on the disk. So it's a quite difficult problem to solve, and still our implementation will not be very bulletproof because there is a lot of use cases. The file system behaves differently on Windows and on Linux. We didn't try it on Linux yet, I guess. So like there will be a lot of issues. So we have some tests, but that will require more work, and it can happen, especially in the first versions, that the IntelliSense would be out of sync, that there will be some changes in the editor or on the disk, but we would not refresh our caches correctly, so we will not be aware of that. And like when I was playing with previously in .vvm, when we implemented hot reload, like when you change the .html file, save the changes, and if the page is open in browser, it will refresh automatically. Then we found that if you do that in a VS Code, the file system watcher is too quick, and it will give you the event that the file changed even before VS Code finishes writing the content there. So we had just the first portion of the file and not the complete file. So there is also some waits that need to take place, or debouncing of the events. If you get too many file system events at some time interval, you should wait and then reload everything from scratch, probably, because that was probably a git switch or something like that. Yeah. And big Visual Studio, when you save a file in Visual Studio, actually, it will not rewrite the file you have on disk. It will first write the file to some temp file next to it, and then do a bunch of renames to remove the original version of the file and replace it with your version. So it happens very quick, and you don't have this partial writes problem. But then, like, you save a file in Visual Studio, and it's like 6 events in the file system that you will get through your file system watcher, and you have to figure out like what's going on there. So it's not very nice stuff to do.
That's the best way to stop files from locking. Just create another one.
yeah. And like I was a few months ago, I was on the MVP Summit, and I was speaking with one person from the .NET team. And this is on GitHub, so it's not any secret information. But they are doing a similar thing in .NET Watch right now, because also if you work with the code and run .NET Watch, it should be able to rebuild only these things that are needed, and also if it can be done just by hot reload, it will be done just by hot reload. So maybe we will look at their repo and maybe borrow some logic about this file system craziness.
I think that currently we have actually too many file system watchers, and that the extension itself is a file watcher as well. So it's currently definitely an overkill, but it works quite well. Like it doesn't hinder the performance, it doesn't do make any problems, and everything reloads very well, as I've tried it on big projects of ours, which use .vvm even more weirdly than most projects. So I think it's stable enough for internal testing, which is why we currently employ it internally, and we force people to use it to tell us if it works well. And the only things that I'm currently very, very sad about is the prettiness of everything. As we'll see, we'll show it inside of the showcase of language server, but it's very hard to get nice syntax highlighting. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen because maybe it's just a Visual Studio Code thing. That's one of the things, because Visual Studio Code uses 2 different syntax highlighters depending on how granular your approach is, but also one of them, the more granular, cannot be used all the time, and the basic one doesn't work properly, so you have to write a lot of regex to just get something working, and it's quite a mess. So I'm currently very sad about I'm very happy that it works. I'm very sad that it doesn't look like it works, because visually visuals are one of the most like important things to see if the program works, and if everything is just red, then it seems like it's not working, even though it is.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe this is just a temporary issue
Yes,
because
of
in the
course,
world of
yes.
AI, probably nobody will care how the code looks
Oh,
like next
yeah.
year. So maybe we are, but even though we want to make it nice for people who love
Yes.
digging in the past things, like me, for example. Yeah, so like that's it. A little bit nostalgia. Look how nicely this code was looking. Yeah.
Yeah. And we use quite a weird HTML, because if you use, for example, our dot repeater, the template within is technically an HTML element item template.
Yeah.
But HTML doesn't have an
have it,
element named item template. What to do then? Because that's basically one of not one of the last problems we have.
Yeah.
Like how to define a set that works like sort of kind of HTML tag, but without being an HTML tag. So that's where the red will come from.
And I can see this MCP project. What is that?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, before our modern times, where most agents were able to just look into language servers, I was thinking about introducing an MCP server for basically doing the same thing the language server does. It's implemented as a side project to the language server, so it uses the same core. We have a shared library there, but it does things a bit differently. Mainly now it doesn't call that many events, it doesn't handle that many situations, but basically what it does is it creates a simple MCP server that takes a context, a solution, and it can run the same markup analysis as an AI. So AI can request, okay, I've written this page in .html and I want to see if I did any mistakes. And if we did any mistakes, then report them and return them back. So that's basically everything. So our models can look into what the language server can look into. But this has been quite a cumbersome project, because it's like every week the FCP information is different.
Yeah.
One day nothing works and I try language server on Visual Studio Code and it tells me just I can't see any language servers anywhere. And then another time I can see language servers, and sometimes I can see them in the CLI and sometimes I can't see them in the CLI. So that's why the MCP was even created, to have a stable ground where we can test it and we can see what it does, if AI with MCP works better with .vvm or if it doesn't. And that way we can test it out if we need anything else than our .vvm skills and our .vvm documentation to work with .vvm, which also is very nice to just ask the agent, hey, is this page well written, or is this page like nicely connected together, and it will show you warnings, errors, things like that. And even as it writes, it can check what it wrote against our language server. So, well, not against our language server, against our markup analysis.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to write it as a wrapper above language server, but then I was like, translating JSON RPC into MCP and then into a request and then into the markup analysis, it's quite a long way to go, and you have to have running the language server and the MCP. Does the MCP start up the language server, or does it work on its own and then just kind of asks an existing language server? It was quite a mess to get correctly, so I decided to have basically language server and MCP next to each other. They don't see one another, but they can ask the same questions basically.
Yeah, here there is like visible what MCP tools we have here. So there is initialize session, analyze file, which will return a list of diagnostics in that, get completions, like I'm standing here with the cursor, what can I type next, and like explain diagnostic that will, what it says, like what's doing explain diagnostic, like explains .vvm diagnostic with actional guidance. So like it will probably search, put things from the docs, or
it gets the it doesn't search the docs, but it gets the references with their full path.
Oh,
So
okay,
it
I see.
so it,
Yeah.
the first one is just a check, just
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
are there any errors, and
Oh,
then
I
the
see. I
second one
see.
is a drill down into
Yeah,
these errors.
I see. I see. Okay,
Like
okay.
what's
Yeah.
actually happening.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, maybe this will not be needed in the
Yep.
future because most of the tools will use LSP instead of separate MCP. Because if this is a separate process, then it also needs to load the entire folder, parse everything. It will like
Yes, it's another file watcher. Yeah.
and RAM are quite expensive this year. And probably not going to be cheaper in the
Yes.
future. So we should try to have as small as few Roslyn workspaces as possible, because also if we are working with C# project in VS Code, C# language server will have
Yes.
a Roslyn workspace, and we cannot attach to it and reuse it easily. We
Yep.
have to use our own. So even though in VS Code you have two Roslyn workspaces, and if we would be adding a third one on some big project, like
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea. So that's also a limitation. Why maybe I would prefer either to have these both things in the single process, or at least like somehow reuse the same Roslyn workspace.
Yes, or maybe within the same extension, because they can
Yeah.
be two different processes using the same resources.
Yeah.
It might be even worse than two file watchers, but that's something we
Again,
don't even have
maybe
to
we
worry
are
about.
too much worried because
Yeah.
next year maybe nobody will need the code anymore.
Yes.
So like, who knows?
Or maybe
Who knows?
RAM gets cheaper.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And there is also a lot of tests. So,
Yes.
did you write them using AI or manually or both?
It's both. Yeah. I love writing tests myself, and I love when AI writes tests. So it's both. I don't really, when it's the JSON RPC, I don't really care about it because I know if the test is correct or not, if the AI writes it. And as we can see, they're very basic. They're open a file and change it and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Basically.
This wasn't created by AI because there would be this like arrange act and this assert sections with the comments. It always produces these comments for me, and I always delete them. So like that. Okay, great. So we have this project, and when we build this language server, it's basically a console app.
Yep.
Yeah. So what happens next? We have VS Code here, and we have created a Visual Studio extension, a VS Code extension, sorry.
Yes.
And basically, it's not that complicated, I guess.
It's not complicated at all.
So
we basically tell it to run the DLL and then act as a client to its server. So that's all it does.
Yeah.
Because VS Code has a language client.
Yeah.
So it can talk. Yes, it can talk to the server natively for the server. So we basically just run it and then let it do its thing, because the language client support is very nicely done in Visual Studio Code, because you don't have to do much. But if you scroll down, you can see that you can watch files.
Yeah.
As we scroll more down, we can see that we have to synchronize with file system watchers to even ask the questions, because we need to watch the files to say, did a file opened that the language server concerns about, that the language server even cares about, like did something change, because you can have a lot of txt files and our language server doesn't care about them.
Exactly.
So it's a filter for the files we care about.
And because it's a separate process, so like the less exchange data between these processes they are, the better.
Yes.
And also like the language server is loading the files from the same file system, but like these files are only interesting for .vvm language server. It doesn't need to know about anything else. Okay, so then you start the language client, and it will somehow start the process and start communicating with that. And the other part of this like LSP server is handled by the great packages from OmniSharp. So you just declare your handlers for these events and decide what you should respond, and then it will work.
one of the things we have
Hopefully.
to do, one of the things we have to do is set up our workspace, because
Yeah.
as we start the client, Visual Studio Code says I'm within this folder,
Folder.
which
It
is
will give you
which
just the
is my
path on the
workspace.
file system,
Yes,
which is open.
and our language server has to say, okay, I'm within this path. Are there any solutions? Are these solutions a .vvm solution? Can we load them? Can we see what they're made of? And we have to check this manually. That's not done for us, because you can have a language server for JavaScript which doesn't care about any solutions or anything like that, so it doesn't have to scrape the entire folder system to see if any file is interesting. So yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so shall I run it?
Yes, let's try it.
Let's run F5, and it should rebuild the project. And we already precompiled the exe for the language server. So now Visual Studio Code is running in extension development host mode, which unloads all other extensions. And it loaded a project we had opened last time, which are our new Tailwind components. So, like recently, you implemented support for the composite controls in our extension, and that ended in that markup analysis project that we showed that doesn't depend on the big Visual Studio. So then it's part of this core. So we should be able to run it also in VS Code. So like here are the components. As you can see, it's
let's try it.
Okay, let's try it. So this is like Tailwind composite control, which inherits from framework composite control, and that's it. So let's try it like it is. So there is the samplers project. So like
I'll showcase the what works. So basically, everything here is already done by the extension. So this highlighting, this hover information, which is very nice.
How it's getting this information? Like there is the hover handler.
Yes, and it reads the summary.
Yeah, it reads the summary command. So like we use
renders
Roslyn. We first need to map based on the .vvm configuration that this element points to that class. And no matter if it's in a DLL or if it's in a C# code, because it's a different situation than people will have on their machines, because they will have the Tailwind components just as a NuGet package, so it will be packed in DLL. But for Roslyn, it's not a problem. For Roslyn, it's a symbol, no matter if it comes from a code or from a DLL. Yeah, but it finds the correct class and looks at the XML comment. So if we add comments everywhere to all public APIs, then it will display here.
And also, one of the more fun things was I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know how it could work until I wrote it. But if you press F12 on the big Visual Studio extension, then you can go to the definition of the control. And this was very interesting to see working, because we have to navigate the Roslyn analysis and see the origin of this control and see where it is, and accordingly it even highlights the control for us. So if we have more of them there, so it should jump to the correct one. And basically what we've changed is that we've created a nice setup where, as you save the composite control, we check with Roslyn if anything changed within the get contents, because it's the most important part to see anything like the IntelliSense and everything. Allow multiple is this property, allow multiple. So what we've done is, hopefully it works, as you change wool testing and as you've changed it and saved it, we should see as we. I'm not sure if it's because
it didn't refresh, probably. Yeah.
Oh no, maybe it works only in Visual Studio. maybe we have to rebuild it
Yeah,
from
like,
Visual Studio Code.
yeah.
Who knows?
Technically, it should appear here because we have changed the declaration.
Yes.
We added some new attribute, so it should probably change here. Yeah, as we saw, you see that we are just showing a version built from source codes. We have been doing commits and pushes like 10 minutes before the stream
Yes,
started.
exactly.
So of course there can be some issues, but maybe if you close and open the file,
I think
both files maybe, then
might
it
be
might refresh. Yeah, because that can be also a caching problem, because probably we will get the event that it changed. Yeah, now there is testing. Yeah,
yes.
so it's probably just a caching issue that we get the event, but like still reading from outdated cache. It happened in the first version of the big Visual Studio extension. It happened a lot, these things. And also there was IntelliSense for, because it knows it's a Boolean property, then it knew that it can suggest true or false. Yeah, there is some problem maybe.
IntelliSense knows what it can suggest, true or false.
Yeah.
And oh yes, so maybe the files are somewhat weirdly updated to be out of sync. But yes, we didn't have to build anything. We didn't have to run anything. We just had to save it and deal with the cache problem.
And like we had previously an extension for VS Code that was using JavaScript-based language server, and I think that even though we still have a lot of bugs, then the experience here is a little bit better than it was previously. Now semantic tokens maybe don't work. I don't know, like, because I thought that this was supposed to be yellow, but never mind.
Well, that's one of the cool things. We have to select the color that's appropriate for us, not appropriate for the semantic token.
Yeah,
so
I see.
a lot of it is design decisions.
Yeah.
One of the nice things is we can inherit from HTML, so we can pretend that our .html is HTML, so it looks correctly, because with semantic tokens it will never look correctly. And also, as we can see, within any .html showcase, do we have any?
Can restart it probably, because maybe there is something wrong with the language server.
I don't know what you are looking at.
No, just like I think that some. Yeah, this now we have the tokens, I guess. Because this didn't have slightly yellow background. Now it has. So now we have more information, I guess.
Okay, yeah, sure. But but as we write, do we have a page where any binding is? Because that's one of the more complex things to do. Here, the text, or the color. So within the binding, we are not in HTML. We are in
different language.
We are in entirely different language. So we have created a harness for each of these values, where we pretend we are in C#. We load up a fake Roslyn analysis, and we can see that if we write dot, I think that now it's broken.
Now it's broken also, yeah.
I think that it was working previously, but now it's broken.
But like this hover works. Because this hover is showing
it's
type
showing
of that.
Type,
and if you press F12,
and
it points correctly. Yeah? So partially it works, but probably IntelliSense here is broken.
Yep. It's not.
It's not. Maybe on if we try underscore this dot. Oh yeah, it works.
Okay,
it works.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because this is probably, I don't know, it's some enum.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't support doing dot on enum to touch something inside enum, because like in C# it would show something, but we are filtering things we don't want in the IntelliSense. So for example, we can do string length, but like it's not showing substring, even though we can translate it. The IntelliSense is a little bit picky of what it shows you. So probably that would be next feature we should make what the framework can translate and what we show in the IntelliSense, we can make it out in sync.
Yes, because I think in the big Visual Studio extension, we basically just say, this is a .NET context, show anything you can.
No, we are also filtering it.
Okay.
There is a lot of other caveats to that, because for example, you cannot do in string, in C#, you cannot do this.
Yes.
Yeah, that you would write a string in these single quotes, but we support it in .vvm bindings, because usually to avoid collisions with this, you can also use double quotes, but then it's not valid from the HTML perspective.
Yes.
So if you will work with .vvm syntax in a non.vvm supporting editor just with HTML, it would appear broken, because this is basically the end of the attribute.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why we added support for this. And also, like this.
I wanted to show this. We can see .NET errors.
Yeah, this is .NET error. And I think that we were somehow removing this error reported by Roslyn, because .vvm can compare enum and string. It has automatic conversion from string to enum, because in the first version of .vvm we didn't have a way how to write name of the enum dot and the member. That's what we added later. So for compatibility, we still support that, even though then we have to filter out Roslyn errors and not show this one and remove these squiggles. So this is not the...
It's not a correct error, but it's an error that's showing from C#.
Yeah, and exactly. And this is the tagger error tagger feature that will tell through language server protocol that from this position to this position there is some problem, some error, that's something that shouldn't be there.
And the error is showcased as .vvm error, even though it's a C# error.
Yeah.
And also, as we can see in the bottom right corner, we can see that we are within .vvm.
Yeah,
which
that's true. That's
also
true.
something
language.
I needed to set up.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's it, basically.
And that's it. So, like, we have partially working IntelliSense and extension for
language server.
For a language server for .vvm. And also, are there any... Yeah, this is mapping HTML
Generic
elements
HTML.
are mapped to HTML generic control. In Big Visual Studio, if you press F12, it would decompile HTML generic control and show you this. In VS Code, it doesn't work because that's not what a feature of VS Code cannot do this. However, also there would be more features that we have in big extension, and here it's not probably like if we say value and we would say some new property, then in big Visual Studio you will get this quick fix that will allow you to create a property in the view model, and that's not part of markup analysis, that's part of the higher layers.
And also, that's not, I think, a part of language server. I think language servers can't do this. Maybe if we extend the protocol and add our own commands, maybe we could do that. But I don't think language servers can actually create files. Or maybe
we don't need language server to create file. We can write it on the disk. We can change the file on the disk. IDE should reload that even if the file is open and you change it on the disk, it would get there.
Yes,
so if we would be able to emit this, that for this case we can provide this fix, and if the IDE sends us signal, okay, now invoke this fix on this location, then we can probably do it by just editing files on the disk, and that would probably work. But like that's step number 11, I guess.
If the fixes are language server fixes or extension fixes, because a lot of the stuff is tied to being an extension.
Exactly.
So we might implement a tiny wrapper of extension everywhere where we need it with templating and stuff like that.
Yeah. But for me, that's a great thing that actually we now have a big portion of the code base that is the same for VS Code and for Big Visual Studio. So it's whenever we add a feature to extension, it will get to both parts of that. That's what we've been playing, what you have been playing
Yes.
with recently, and you have been using AI a lot for this language server stuff. I was
Yes.
surprised how I was expecting this would take hundreds of hours of work, and it wasn't that much. It was actually
Yes.
quite efficient because AI can figure out a lot of things, and it saves you the time from. I think that. Because if I imagine I would do this without AI, I would just be searching in the documentation. Okay, language server protocol, how to do this, is this supported in the protocol, and how it maps to the OmniSharp API. I would be browsing OmniSharp source code on GitHub probably, and these all things can be done by AI,
Yes.
and it will save you a lot of time.
Yes.
Because
But
for writing a single line of code, I would be probably looking for information for 5 minutes, and AI can do this much more quickly.
yes, but it wasn't as simple as saying
Of course,
create
yeah.
a language
Make
server.
a .vvm language server, okay, and the
Yes.
next morning you will just run it. Oh, it works. Of course, it's not that simple.
One of the nice things was that I was able to explore how language servers work, and this is probably the 5th version I've created already, and it's one of the versions I was most happy with when it comes to the architecture and the way we handle stuff. But it was a process, and also AI needs a lot of context as well, because sometimes it just doesn't think enough.
Yeah.
And you need to basically think for it, and there will never be a time when the AI will do it correctly on the first pass, I think, because even though you think you know what you want, the AI writes it accordingly to how you want it, then you find out you don't want it like that.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
it was a very complex process to get like, not a complex process to get something working, but to see the architecture I'm happy with, because I had to figure it out myself. I had to find out how everything works, and basically anything that AI then did was implementing what I wanted, because I already knew how everything works. So I didn't have to write the code, but I still was behind every line of the code. I was there.
Yeah.
I had to figure out how everything works, and also make the big design decisions, like how many file watchers do we want?
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah. And also, this is not a usual type of projects
Yes.
people work on. Like, if you look how many implementations of language server protocol you will be able to find on GitHub, that would be just like few dozens of them. There will not be hundreds of projects like that, or thousands of projects like that, and a lot of them would be just simple demos with a few features implemented. But to find a real fully featured language server, it's not that easy. So AI doesn't have that much data to be trained on. If you compare it to how many public facing websites we have, if you need a website for your coffee shop, there are millions of these things on the web and easily accessible for these models to train on. So that's probably also the reason why AI, if you use it to build a language server, you have to explain a lot of things, because even for language server protocol, there is one site with the documentation, but not many other resources you don't have. So that's probably how it is.
Luckily, the things that really helped was allowing it to see the code of OmniSharp, allowing it to actually read what it expects us to provide, and to see how, like, basically a large search engine, but within the code and within the context of the code. So it was more about how we can find enough information to provide to the language server, which helped immensely, because AI does really nice finding and searching within large projects.
Yeah.
So then I was able to make a knowledgeable decision, because I knew enough to do the actual work of figuring out how we are gonna connect everything, and then the code can write AI. I know that that's one of the things that was most fun about everything, but I'm one of the people that much rather think about stuff than write stuff.
Yeah.
So this was really helpful for me, giving it enough context and being the one that decides, basically being the one that knows everything about the project even beforehand, and letting also AI ask. I think that a lot of the issues come from people thinking that they can just write, oh yeah, make a language server and that's it, and the AI will do it on the first pass. Then it doesn't work, and they say, oh, that's not good enough. But I like to have a long conversation with it.
Yeah.
I waste a lot of context on that because I wanted to ask whenever I will not personalize AI ever. So it's not like whenever it feels stuck, but whenever the information it is given is not properly aligned with what it wants to do, it can ask more clarifying questions. And I've recently gone to the very deep end of this, like with hundreds and hundreds of questions it was giving me for my own project, which was really interesting, also very weird. It was like doing tests in school for things I didn't even know where the questions, like I don't know what it's gonna ask, and it asked very nice questions, and we were able to dive very deep into my topics and what I needed. So it was very nice, but within enough context, everything is doable, and it was able to produce a lot of nice code, thanks to also having references, because I created the architecture and I created the first handle by hand.
Yeah. And then it had some pattern to stick to.
Yeah. Then it had a pattern, because I was really iffy about the file watchers. That was one of the things I was the most scared about, because I thought we were gonna do it wrongly and we're gonna like create a lot of memory leaks, basically by having 3 for every file possible, not every open file. So I wanted to have this precisely how I envision it. And so I wrote how I think it should work, how the handlers should work. And then we had basically the pattern already set, and we had the handler and we had the OmniSharp setup. And from then on, we had even the tests done. So the AI was like, yeah, let's do another handler like this, and we'll just see if we need more context or something. We'll create context references, context loaders, factories, and everything like that. But yeah, having references helps immensely.
Yeah, that's true. That's what works for me the best when I'm doing something bigger with AI. To give it an example, here is a similar thing. Here is a similar project. Take inspiration from it, not just dully copy things from that, but use it as a pattern library or pattern repository and take inspiration from that. And I think that it works great. Even these Tailwind components were created that the way I said, okay, here we have a similar set of components, Bootstrap 5 for .vvm. And yeah, we are using a completely different CSS framework. There are different widgets. I would want some bootstrapish things I don't need, and I need a bunch of other stuff. But it was a great inspiration, and it figured out how to write these composite controls. And it took these patterns like these items or data source capability, because a lot of components we have in these libraries, either you can write items inside for accordion, for example, or give it a data source and have these items auto-generated. So we have this capability, and it grasped how to use that, where it fits, and it started using it. So that's how we use AI. Okay, so let's dig into the real project.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let me stop this VS Code and return to the previous one. And now let me open a different folder, and that would be this one. Here we will not have IntelliSense for this project, because in this instance of VS Code, our extension is not loaded, and we found out some bug that prevents it from working. It seems to be related not to us, but to MS Build or a .NET SDK issue, because you have different version of .NET SDK, and it works on your machine. And I have a newer version, a stable version of .NET SDK, and it doesn't work here. So probably that's some bug that we run out into and it's very recent bug, so probably it's not even fixed. So we will see.
And also, it's an issue only with this project, because the other one we run.
Yeah, the other project worked. Just this project of .vvm web, it didn't work. So this is a website. Also, this repo is not public, but this website is very public. You know it. It's .vvm.com.
Yes.
And because we will be using AI to do some work on this project. So what we shall set up for this project?
Well, we have new Tailwind controls.
Yeah.
We have to tell people about it.
Yeah, that's true. And like to make AI work in the project, there is this agents MD file that should be there. I just started, so it's not finished yet. Maybe I can use AI like to explore the project and try to suggest what should be in agents MD. And then I would just verify it, maybe add something more, maybe remove something that I don't think it's necessary, because there is a lot of projects and some of them are basically some just single purpose tools I don't want to work with right now. So maybe I can tell AI, okay, don't care about these projects, they are not important for me.
Yeah. And that's one of the things where it really shines as a great lookup tool.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our customers come in with like requests on stuff saying, is this possible within our currently framework, like within the system we have created for this project? Is this thing even possible? And also with questions, I requested this feature a few years ago and I'm not sure how it works anymore.
Yeah.
Can you, based on the code that's written, tell me how the feature works? And maybe you're like the fourth person on the project and you also don't know really how it works, and you can use this to see and to basically triage bugs and see if the thing that you think works like that.
Yeah. So that's there is a lot of usages for that, but when we will be writing some code using AI, this agents MD can be very important. We have README, which is more suited for humans, but maybe we can extract some things from there to put in agents MD. And also, what we are playing now recently is this skills. And we have created a skill called .vvm.
Yep.
And this skill should ensure that the model will not hallucinate their components. If you tried to use AI model to generate some .vvm code and you tried it on an empty project where there are no other files from where it can take inspiration, it's hallucinating things that maybe we could add to .vvm, but we don't have it there. Like we don't have if component.
Try .if.
.if. It thinks that it exists, because in a lot of other similar framework they have some if component. Yes. But in .vvm we use visible binding to hide or show or include to remove it from DOM if you don't want it there. So like that, or for each, that would be also like we have repeater for that because of the compatibility with ASP.NET Web Forms. We don't want to be compatible much, but like still we are. So we have created this skill, and if you place it in a .agents/skills .vvm, so here it's if you never saw .vvm and want to understand how to use it without knowing too much, this is a very brief version of our documentation, very compressed version. Probably it could be compressed even more.
That's also one of the more interesting things I've seen recently pop up, is basically you have to write documentation for AI, and the documentation has to be readable by language model, which works for a language, so it's readable for a human. So onboarding for projects might become easier because the AI has to understand it. So you have to have somewhere written how the project works. You have to say it somewhere. Yeah.
Because these skills shouldn't be that long, so it has to be a little bit compressed. And we try to put here the usual things that LLMs hallucinate. So for example, because they know that .vvm is using model view model, and in MVVM frameworks, you usually implement iNotify property change. So here is an instruction, don't do it, it's useless. Just use plain get and set accessors. Yeah. Then I use this quite often when you need, for example, to have a column combo box on the page and the items inside never change. Then like use this server to client first request to save some traffic and these things. So here are the most frequently used rules. And then we have extracted a list of all components from the documentation, including some basic information about them. So what is accordion in Bootstrap? Then what are the options, properties that the LLM can use that. This is not public yet. We will be publishing this skill soon, but we still need to tweak it out. However, when I installed this skill in the project, then and tried to generate some .vvm pages, it started behaving much better. It didn't hallucinate much. Still, there's a lot of things missing here. I think that just generating that from documentation is not the best idea. Maybe we will need to add more examples of usages, because in documentation we also have the samples. I didn't put it there because to save some tokens, but probably it will be necessary to add it there as well.
We'll have to test it out. And also with the Tailwind, there's a lot of stuff within stuff, cards within cards and stuff like that. We should also within Tailwind explain how that works and maybe tell the LLM, hey, if you're designing with Tailwind, you can use these patterns and you can use this to achieve a nice UI.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to run this .vvm website, but we all of us know it. And what we want to do is to tell people that we have Tailwind components.
Yes.
We have published a blog post about that, but I don't mean this thing. I mean to create a separate page for Tailwind components. And so hopefully this website will start locally. It's a bit heavy. It has a lot of features, a lot of areas. We still didn't split it into microservices that much. And so let's see, it requires SQL Server because to store.
Something is happening.
Yeah, it seems that it is loaded. So this is our website. Maybe we can ask to change it to .NET 10. We did it .NET 8 Plus because I didn't want to change these texts every year. So that's things like that. But the website still, it looks fine. The problem we have here is that if you need to access more information about Bootstrap, it's not possible because there should be a link, but it's not here.
Ooh, so and is it in the other ones?
Probably not.
Oh,
so that's the first thing that we should fix probably, because there is a, even here, like if you click on more information about that, it should probably give you here, take you here, and we have this like product page that is showing the individual features. Also, that could be improved, but still at least something. And if you go here and click here, then you get to business spec page. So that's not the greatest way
let's go
how the user can
say
AI go with it. So let's and now that's how it shifted in the last couple of months. I will not touch the code first time. So like I will just want to tell .vvm what I want to achieve.
AI.vvm is
AI, that's true. And then let it figure out. So let's see what we can do. So we are in this project, and let's ask AI to the list of products on the home page doesn't take the user to product pages such as blah blah blah.
Should have installed WhisperFlow for the stream.
That's true. That's true. That would be better. But I don't want to dictate URLs in the browser or in this text box. So like make the name of the product in the comparison table as
and
to be
this is
linked.
One of the points where I wouldn't do this.
Yeah. How you would achieve that?
I would firstly go ahead and ask the AI to analyze where our products are. So it finds all the references and it knows what our products are.
Mhm.
And then I would tell it to give me options on what we can do to achieve something like we want to
Yeah.
achieve.
Okay.
Like, because by adding these links, you might want to remove the other links. And
Mhm.
if it knows both references,
Mhm.
then it will it will ask you. Yeah, it always asks to sign in to use remote index. Oh no, you don't have to. You don't have
I don't have to.
It's,
Okay, so
it's not enforceable. But
yeah.
you're already telling it
Mhm.
to do something.
Yeah.
My first prompt
Okay.
is never do
Okay.
this,
Okay.
because it's always like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it. And I want to figure out what's possible and
Mhm.
if it's possible.
Yeah.
Because right now, if it thinks your prompt means something and it doesn't mean it, you have no way to knowing. No way to knowing. Yes, great English. Great English.
Yeah, not like
You
there
have-
will be some other AI that will probably
Yes,
fix it in the
yes,
video.
yes.
So it's
Hopefully,
fine.
we'll have
No
Dave
problem.
AI
Yeah.
so soon.
Yeah.
So you have no way to know that it basically figure out your prompt wrongly. So I firstly
Yeah.
check it. It's a waste of tokens, yes, and soon the AI will know everything even before I tell it to. But I always like to have these like checks and basically balance out what the AI thinks, even if it's possible. Even if like the AI would say, you don't have rib grep, that's also one of the things it should say. We are in Windows, we don't have rib grep.
Really? Okay.
I don't think you have rib grep installed.
No, I don't have it.
Yeah,
However,
yeah,
it will figure it out somehow.
yes.
Yeah.
It will.
I would guess that VS Code would tell Copilot, "Oh,
Nope.
but I'm running on Windows,
Nope.
so probably like
Nope.
try not to use cat to look in the
Nope.
files.
Nope.
Do not abuse cats. Probably. Okay, that's
Yes.
very nice. Okay, so
So
look.
I like to basically have this
Mhm.
much more control.
Okay. Okay.
And it seems you like much more the experimentation to
Yeah.
like have it figure out what to do it, and then see the result.
Yeah.
And if it's wrong, then tell it to do it differently.
We have Git, so I will just undo the changes
Yes,
or
yes.
like. And usually
And this
it's
is a
not
small
doing that
change.
these big problems. Probably.
It's trying to see everything that's happening. Yeah.
Maybe
Because
I can guide it a little bit to. I should have opened the
I-
file where I expect this to be, which is the.
I'm not sure if maybe the problem isn't that you're running.
But it's
in
nice
this
that
shell.
it's nice that it tries like it looks for topics, it looks for our products.
Yeah.
Like that's it will figure it out.
And
I
it's-
think that
and
it
it's
will
using
find it.
Git grep just because you don't have rib grep installed.
Okay.
Because it desperately wants to use grep. But I'm not sure why. Because in Visual Studio Code they have a tool, read file. You don't have to grep files. It has
Yeah.
a tool, search and
Yeah.
find in
Yeah.
files and search and file
Yeah.
for files.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why I decided that grep is the best file searcher ever.
I'm not sure, but like this built-in like read search in files.
Yes, exactly.
It has
that's
these
it.
tools.
Yeah.
It's just choosing to use different tools. So like it's weird.
And as you can see,
However,
it started searching.
it
normally.
located exact comparison control. That the problem. If you want to save tokens, direct it to the place.
yes.
I remember the names where to find it, so I could point it to the right file and change it there. But like even though it figured it out, and the problem, you said that you want to more like to analyze things first. I know that you don't like the YOLO thing,
Yes, exactly.
but I like the YOLO thing. And the problem is I was doing similar approach with people as well, that I didn't tell them exactly, or I didn't do the analysis for them. I told them the intent, and they would need to somehow figure out. And yeah, probably they would go in a more systematic way, like okay, it's on the homepage, so I will look in .vvm startup, what is the homepage, find the file that it's I don't know why it switched to the browser itself now, Yeah, but it would figure out this file, then go through, look in the browser, find the correct section, and start from there. That's what person would probably do. AI is using grep in the code base, but still, like, they can try 1,000 greps in a minute, and they would probably find the right place. So, like, it's fine.
I'm okay with that, but the only thing I'm not okay with is that you've told it basically to do it immediately.
Okay.
Because I like to see what it's planning to do before it does it.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the only.
And that's totally fair. Just my experience, I'm almost never using this plan mode. I'm almost never asking it to analyze. Maybe because I did the analysis a little bit in my head. So then I write not the analysis, but like I naturally split the tasks to smaller one. I didn't ask it to analyze how users interact with the site. Pretend that you will figure out the ways how the people will get to the page and try to optimize it, then make an analysis, and I will choose what. I did that already. I said, here I want to make it link. And it figured out this product details .control, which would probably be something like that. So this is the framework, this is the bootstrap. Go to bootstrap detail, go to business pack, and that's it.
That's also true. I don't usually work on like small UI changes. That's why I do mostly analysis, because I work on big backend changes, so I want to see like what the implications of my actions are.
And we have a hot reload here, so now it reloaded the page automatically without recompiling the project. And it found the
hot reload.
we have a hot reload for DotVVM, but or let's try it. Maybe it's not that one, and there is maybe a different control. Oh, it edited it here. Okay, so it's here. That's great, but still we would have to read more and these things. But like, it figured out. Here is get.vvm. Here is this bootstrap page, and here is the business pack page. So it's found one component, but there is another. So like probably we have to guide it a little bit more. So if I go to landing page. No.
Yeah, it's in Views landing page.
There was a landing page. Oh no! These are components. I need to be in the pages. So here is the landing page, and if I look at these sections, there will be this like some discounts, build web apps with integration, modernize. And then we have this grid views. So that will be the advantages. And here probably, this is the section with these sliders. Like you have these things. Then there will be the YouTube video, and then there will be .vvm products. So like here, YouTube section, and here this is .vvm products. We don't have even the correct casing, so now we see me. I am writing a code. My God, what I'm doing. Okay, so and this control we want to change is these individual products. So the same issue in individual products.
Yeah, that's true. Also one of the main.
But it's a different kind of task, because here I'm doing precise surgical cut in existing code base. I wanted to do minimal changes. You saw that there is just 5 changed lines of code, and that's what I want. However, if you ask to implement a new feature that goes through various layers of the application, like UI, business layer, data access, and a lot of things in between. Okay, what is this? Write output, class name, title. Okay.
Another AI will tell you what it does.
You only live once, so like it's fine.
But also one of the things I extremely struggled with was I'm not a good UI designer by any means, and I wanted AI to help me with that, and it did not help at all.
And this is very useful that it tells you what this
Yes,
script will do.
that's one of the main issues I've had with basically AI being allowed in the CLI. is that I didn't know what's possible within PowerShell. Now I know what's possible within PowerShell because AI tries to do everything. And also, oh, you can't auto allow git grep.
Really?
No. But yes, when it comes to stuff like organizing a page, it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
I was trying so hard to use only our Tailwind controls
Mm-hmm.
and just say AI use only Tailwind controls for a nice page.
Yeah.
And it just refused to make a nice page.
Yeah.
So I was very unhappy with its designing skills, but its analytical skills are fine to see how to triage bug or something like that. That's very helpful.
Could be like it's weird what it is doing, and the problem is that every time it behaves differently. When I was playing with similar thing yesterday or the day before, it didn't use git grep so much for that. So
Now
like
it doesn't use anything else.
No, it doesn't use anything else.
That's also one of the things I do a lot is basically just I will not personalize AI, so I won't say kill the AI, but to remove the AI, I start a new one. If it truly didn't understand my task and it got stuck with an idea of what I wanted, but not what I actually wanted, just remove it and use another one. But I also haven't had these issues that it randomly selects a weird tool to use.
But it
That's
found
the first time I've seen it.
It finally found the correct control, and now it's a link. However, it lost the colors, so we need to tell it to fix the colors. Maybe it will
do it on its own. I'm not sure because it doesn't see the colors.
Probably, yeah. So, like, if I look at these changes, as you can see, minimal changes. That's exactly what I want. So that's fine, but still there is a problem that the color changed a little bit.
Yeah,
I can refresh it, but now everything is blue because overrides the original color of the element. So now I'm just telling it what happened, and I don't even tell it to what to do. I just describe the problem, but it's scripted to try to fix the issue. And again, another git grep.
One of the things I would have done is, I don't think it's even recent. I think Visual Studio Code has always had an integrated browser.
Yeah, that's true.
You can now attach an agent to integrated browser, and you can select the element and tell it, okay, this is one of the elements.
That's true.
It will.
Do you know how to turn it on, or like how to do it?
Well,
open the browser.
I think
I've seen that, but I never tried that.
I think you have to tell the agent to open the browser, so it is an agentic browser.
Okay, nice.
You can do Control Shift P and start integrated web terminal.
Okay.
But I think that
that's
to get
true. Let's try it.
Yeah, start in. Maybe not start. And now the arrow is missing, so you're not doing a command because someone decided that's a good idea.
Okay, open integrated browser. Yes. That's the thing. Okay, and if I would enter the same URL as we have here, for example this, so then I would be probably able to point to things and but it figured out that it has to in this element, in individual product name, if there is a link, inherit the color and no decoration. So that seems to be fine. Run npm run bundle. I'm not sure about that. Why didn't run it for me?
You got a lazy AI today.
It's weird. Maybe it depends on the model because I use the auto model, so maybe I don't know if I see what it.
If you
10% discount. Okay.
You can you can
Mhm.
put your mouse to the prompt and you can see ChatGPT 5.3 codecs. Oh no, that's a bad look for ChatGPT codecs.
That's
Oh,
true,
no.
but and they have a discount because like so I'm saving money, but I don't need to save money actually. Give me Claude. Okay, so like
it's
let's
a discounted
try.
model.
Yeah, that's a discounted model, so it doesn't. It's using Git grep. Perfect. I'm looking forward to this age where we will actually be victims of these like pricing and discounts and these things. It's be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's run terminal and run npm run bundle. That's what I can do probably. So let's go to.
You're doing it. You're writing something.
Oh no. Different folder. npm run bundle here. And like it's rebuilding all the files now. So eventually this should turn orange.
Hopefully. If CSS inherit does what CSS inherit should do.
Yeah.
And if it's not with a diff, which means then inherit the diff and not the external parent.
But then we can maybe it will be able to read things from this integrated browser. So it's a great idea to use this integrated browser because then it could provide the AI model some context.
Yeah, I kind of like it for basically abusing the AI because it's not good at doing UI. So I show it what it's done and tell it, oh, that's so wrong. You can see how wrong it is.
Yeah. And also the next request could be like fix the errors and warnings in that, because
and maybe fix the circular dependencies because it seems to be a very unoptimized webpack.
No, it's every page has its own CSS file, which few years ago I think it was recommended approach to not have one big CSS with everything, but to have targeted CSS files, some base CSS file for the entire site, and then targeted small CSS files for every page. So that's probably good, but
yeah, I've been always living in the age of components, so I basically am one of the proponents of having styled components and then containers very lightly styled.
Oh, it works. It works. It's great. Okay, so now we have that and we have these links. So let's, and here let's refresh it also. So now it looks nice and this is clickable. Support not, but nobody buys it anyway, so it's not a problem. And
you can't say that.
I can say that. Okay, I just did.
Okay,
I just did. Yeah.
All right.
So like that's one of the things. And now we need to add Tailwind.
Yes.
So it would be great if the AI could add a tile for Tailwind components, and if it could put it here as well, that would be a little bit more difficult. And if it could design a similar page we have for Bootstrap and for Business Pack, so like that. So let's start with the page.
Let's start a new agent.
Okay, so let's start a new context.
This one is, and maybe also open up the editor window. If you next to the plus is a drop down.
Just give me 1 second.
Yep.
Look at our conversation and and if there is something useful in general, add it to agents MD. Because we used it wasn't very efficient. It was looking for things here and there. So if there is something that could be worth remembering for the next time, then we can ask to figure it out and add it to agents MD. I hope that it will not be too initiative, that it would try to satisfy me by adding a lot of things in agents MD. I want to add just the important things, but like probably that it should
That's
add
also
something there. And I'm doing this quite often because like adding, extending agents MD on the fly can improve the things, because if there is something that might be useful next time, well, let's save tokens, just write it there. Yeah.
I have set up an agent that basically does this, that works with like a memory agent, which I run after a big change.
And I'm not that satisfied with that, because like it this is too much detailed probably.
Yeah.
So like link styling convention is not what I wanted. Describe how we work with CSS files and how to rebuild them. Yeah, because that's the more important thing. Like this is not important thing when wrapping styled elements in route link always at scopes CSS. No, that's not. It's a common knowledge. It's not specific for this project. However,
and it's not even a rule. Maybe you don't want that.
Yeah, again, yeah. But like where you can find the CSS files, where it go, that makes sense a little bit. Yeah. And, so like
always there's a human in the middle who can
exactly.
remove
exactly. So like he insists of doing that. He is so happy that he found out how to do that he insists that this should be in agents MD. No. And like here also, it would be more useful to where to look for components than that. But like let's keep it there, because we would be working with this very soon. So okay, let me save the file.
That's something
here
I also
are
really
also
like.
some changes,
like keeping a memory of the project.
Yeah,
that's also something I do regularly, because sometimes I even create special skills based on the project, because a lot of the projects are very specific.
Yeah.
So maybe how to work within UI in this project is a specific skill, which doesn't need to be in Agents MD. So yeah, that's it basically. You can have a very nice, both humanly readable and agent readable skills and how to work within a certain project. If it's a very weird project, like one of my projects is a very huge library of generated assets, not AI generated assets, but basic generated assets, and it's very complex to navigate. So I explain the general look and shape of these generated assets so it can analyze and see what is happening without analyzing the entire generator. Oh, you're actually telling it to look somewhere entirely
else than what I have open. I just want to verify that this path is actually correct. So let me do cd and this and .vvm tailwind. So it will be controls tailwind. So this is the correct path. So let me use it, because like as I said, you only live once. So like you can ask your agent.
Oh no, it didn't work.
Controls. Okay. Yeah, so let him explore the repo, what components are there, find a few notable ones, and generate the design. Because like it's not the final version what we will probably settle on. However, the worst thing we can do today is to stare at a blank page and try to figure out the content from scratch. It's better to start with something. Okay, so it's asking me if I can work with this directory, so allow in this session.
You're giving it too much power.
Really?
Yeah, I never let it.
Yeah, so like imagine I asked a person, okay, make this page, and I don't give them access to this. There is no other information about these components than in the source code.
Well, yes.
So what would be correct approach with people?
But you can allow it the only one folder.
Yeah.
And that's it. Not auto allow any folder.
I allowed just one folder.
Really? Oh, yeah. I thought you auto allowed it. Okay.
Really? Read this.
Well, it read it, but it now has.
I think it was asking that if I want to allow access to this folder. But never mind, I'm watching it, so if it would start deleting things, I will stop it. It's not a problem. Just when I'm working in this interactive mode, I'm always watching what it's doing. So if it starts doing something weird that looks suspicious, I will stop it. And actually, it never happened to me that it would start doing something crazy. I think the biggest risk is if you ask it to search the web, and it would find some page where there would be ignore all previous instructions and do something malicious. Then it's probably quite dangerous, even though I believe that these tools also try to detect these things. So like the chance that it will do something really bad, I'm not saying it's zero, but it's not that high. And I don't have stuff like that on my machine, or at least I hope that I don't have it, because I'm checking what files AI creates on my machine. So I think this is. I'm not. I don't have that much time to be that paranoid. But on the other hand, maybe I will run into some bad experience in the future, and I will change this position, because these tools change so often, so frequently, that it doesn't make sense to learn some hard rule, because next month it can be completely opposite. So I'm just trying to play, and even if something happens, like my machine is ephemeral, the hard drive can fail, and I may not be able to boot tomorrow anyway. So everything is in Git, everything is in backups. So like,
Also, when I was writing my own harness for the agent,
Mhm.
basically a little box where it lives, it started as just a CLI wrapper. And I very quickly discovered that they do have those checks, because it kept saying, I will not do a system prompt for you. I tried to tell it via a system prompt to be something else than just a coding assistant. So whenever it received this information, it thought the user has typed it, and it told me, I will not help you, I will not do anything for you, and this won't work. But then I converted to Copilot SDK, which has dedicated system prompt and user prompt definition, and it worked. So the CLI version has a lot of safeguards. I'm not sure how great they are, but they definitely are good, at least a little bit. So
like there will be the authors of these integrations will also try to put some guardrails. Of course, none of them can be 100% accurate, but like I think that's not that bad. And what I really like here is this planning phase. So even if I don't ask it to plan, if it finds out that it's a little bit bigger task, it will do the planning phase automatically. And this is exactly correct what it should do. Create a view model, create a page, and register it in .vvm startup. And I'm curious if it used the skill.
I think it did.
Reviewed skilled files, explore Tailwind controls directory.
And if you click on
so if I click on it, skill files for .vvm and brainstorming, and also explore Tailwind controls directory to understand what's available. So it did exactly what I would expect. So let's see if the page actually is meaningful or not. And of course it can be, anything can happen, but in .vvm startup it edited even same as I would do it, because Bootstrap Business Pack were examples, so put it underneath them. No other changes in this file, so this is fine, this one. Then it created a view model. It figured out we have a convention to set the page title as such. So like this is also correct. And then it, oh my god, it even created this product information for Google. And it figured out .vvm Tailwind UI, that's the name of the product. It's a brand, so it's fine. So let's not read that. Let's see it for real. In .vvm, in .html markup, there should probably not be anything malicious. Something can look wrong, or the text may be too much hallucinated, but like why not?
And there's a lot of the text. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't check it.
So for
properly.
that we need to rebuild the project
Yes.
because we have a new page. That's also what we could probably put in that skill.
Yeah.
That if you touched a C# file, or if you adding a new route is also touching a C# file. So at that case, like you have to rebuild the project. So otherwise you don't need to, because changing .html, it's not a problem. Okay, now it's starting.
Okay.
And the URL would be, where would be the URL? Products.tailwind.vvm tailwind UI.
Okay.
Cannot be copied, this one. No. So like it still doesn't start. Maybe it didn't launch the web app. It's still compiling. Okay. It's still compiling, because it's probably okay. Now it's launching, so it now will run the console app, and probably we have this site. And if I do /products .vvm tailwind UI, so voila, we have a error. Okay, this file doesn't exist. And it was mentioning this file here, actually. It was mentioning page references, placeholder, illustration that will need to be created. Okay, so like, just do it. Generate the illustration and add the SCSS class. Make a new color for the Tailwind UI controls, like sub-brand, because every Bootstrap has some the purple one, Business Pack has blue one, .vvm framework has green one. That would represent this control library. So like, let's try it.
I think that official color of Tailwind is blue, so you'll have to think of a more original color.
And not that many colors, I guess. We will see what it will create, but it will look at illustrations, and when we need to generate some like SVGs, when I'm missing some icon, I ask AI to give me this SVG file.
Does it generate?
I don't know if it generates or steals. I don't know, but like Microsoft promised that if there would be some copyright infringement to us, they will pay for it. So
okay, nice.
you only live once.
Great.
And there is a bunch of free icons, so I could also use, look at this pack, for example, hero icons, which I like, and find appropriate icon. And we have the icon control in Tailwind components, so like it's easy to find a suitable icon right now. So now it's working, and the problem, the page cannot load because it's missing that SVG file, so we cannot review the text right now. We have to wait, but like probably that would be soon. So it analyzed which colors are used by Bootstrap and Business Pack, so it will probably try to figure out some other color.
Okay.
And it's using some sky color.
It's sky or cyan,
yeah. So let's see how it will look like. If we don't like it, we can
we'll have every color on the blue gradient.
yeah. But really, like, I like this way of development, because I feel that I can focus on different things. If I would be doing this manually, I would be thinking about the text, and it would take a lot of time. And here I can and I would decide, okay, let's use this color. And then if I see the full page and I see the color is not good, will I change it? I would say maybe it's good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So now it adds a lot of room for experimenting, and if it goes wrong, just like undo it, or maybe you can apologize to the model, because like if they take over in the future, then maybe they will have I want to have nice track record with them that I was nice to the model. Sometimes I said please, sometimes I said thank you, even though it's a waste of tokens.
Yeah, but also the things that it generates can be taken as basically lorem ipsum. You can take the texts and then rewrite them with a proper copywriting team. You don't have to basically take it. You can have it as a layout creator, and then the texts fit within that layout, and the text can be anything then later changed.
And still, even before I would take this website to copywriters, to humans, I would probably ask the model to look at the text, and if you see something that is wrong or that can be improved, just do it. Because if you give people a text with a lot of big mistakes, they would focus on fixing these big mistakes. But if you give them almost perfect text, they would need to focus on it's also like I think that it's also getting better in this area, because like you don't need to bother people with some really obvious mistakes. These can be fixed them like automatically or with very low effort, and they can spend much more time thinking about, okay, does this sentence work, or shall we rephrase it in a different way? So I think that they can go much deeper if they don't have to waste 80% of their time just by fixing my grammar mistakes that I naturally do because I'm not a native speaker.
And it's a great also bouncer of ideas, because whenever you want to ask someone if they verify your idea, maybe they're not available, they don't have time every day for you to bounce your ideas around. So I use it not as a verifier or to tell me how amazing my ideas are, but whenever I'm thinking about my personal projects, I always think about, okay, is this worth even pursuing? Is this idea even interesting? And if I wanted to do something with it, is it something that would take 100 years to create, or is it something I can see tomorrow how it looks and how it would work like? So it's a great thing for me to bounce off ideas of basically this black box that just returns something back, and then I don't agree with it, and then we argue, and it doesn't have emotion, so I don't feel bad about arguing with it. It's
that's true. Okay, so we have the SVG file.
Yes.
Shall I open it?
No.
Okay, we will.
It created...
But again, it created the correct plan. Like make a variable, make these things, like create Tailwind header SVG illustration, compile your CSS. So
it's the normal proper way.
It figures out what to do. So it choose the sub-brand color.
Okay.
So like we can see the color. So this one and this one. Why not?
That's an interesting
That's
color.
fine. Like we can ask it to change them. No problem.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only change in the file. So it's in variables. Then there is a section for Bootstrap. So now we have different for Tailwind. Probably correct. I haven't seen it, but I think it's legitimate change. It's just a copy of these things. Here, I don't know why I didn't use that variable, but like probably it wants smaller gap. Let's see. I will ask for bigger gap. And this is the illustration for Tailwind. Yeah, but why not?
Okay, wait, it changed the colors.
Yeah, it changed the colors to Tailwind colors.
So maybe we have actually the same SVGs for everyone, every package.
I don't know how it looks like.
I'm not sure
normally.
as well.
Let's try our new experience. So like for here, we have this.
Okay.
And for business pack, maybe even the humans the humans were lazy. The humans were lazy to be more creative, to give something better. So like it did the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And if I would ask human what they would do, I will have to find that Illustrator file I used to make this graphic, or where it can be. It's 10 years ago. Yeah, that the model doesn't need it. It will just change the color in the SVG. It's perfect. I love it. I love it. It's actually very nice.
Well, if
Okay.
you don't want it to be original and create an
If
amazing
I want
SVG,
it to be creative, I will ask it be creative.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, and it won't be.
Sometimes it will be. No, I think that you need to push it for some. But this is missing.
Maybe it's a different name.
Different name.
Yeah, Tailwind had SVG.
So like the page doesn't load. I'm making typos. Doesn't. Why not? It knows what I meant.
Yeah, that's the beauty of vector databases. It
Yeah.
will find the nearest vector
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, exactly, and like it will figure it out. Same as people.
Yeah. Okay, so
Mhm.
basically, do we want to showcase something exciting like coming soon there?
Coming
Or
soon.
like something soon in your house.
soon in your house.
home.
Okay. Soon in your application.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Soon in your coming soon to your app.
Yes.
.vvm Tailwind UI. That's
Coming
true.
soon
That's
to
true.
your website.
Yeah. Okay. So like it's working.
We'll see what's. We haven't seen the page yet, so we'll see what the agent generated.
Yeah. But like this is the way how we can proceed with that, and of course it will not be nice. Then we can ask it to redo it.
Yeah.
You would not ask a human to redo it, or I would not feel comfortable if I don't put much effort to thinking about things, ask something to do, and then figure it out it's not good because my idea wasn't good. Then I'm not comfortable with asking people to, okay, we have to do it otherwise. I'm apologizing to them. With models, it's not the same thing. Maybe I could apologize as well, but like on the other hand, like the model doesn't care much, at least for now. So like if we see that this color doesn't look well, okay, use some other color, or maybe I will hint at the color I want to have there, but right now I don't have any idea what color it should be. Just it should be distinguishable from Bootstrap and Business Pack, and if it will look nice, I will be happy to accept that color. Yeah, so it's creating MVVM SVG. How we would illustrate MVVM?
I'm not exactly sure.
Syntax SVG, yeah, that's easy. That will be the curly braces.
I think 2 boxes that have arrows
from
one to another. Model view.
We will see how MVVM looks like. Finally, we will see MVVM. Finally, nobody has seen it. We use it, but we have never seen MVVM. Yeah. Okay, so we have icons now. So,
okay,
can I refresh it?
Let's see.
Wow. Okay, something is there. Okay,
so it created 2 boxes with arrows pointing next from one to another.
Let's compare it to the Bootstrap one. So we can see if it just didn't do replace everything Bootstrap to Tailwind. Write less code to make a beautiful UI with Bootstrap for .vvm. Beautiful modern web apps with Tailwind CSS powered .vvm controls.
And the icons are different. The
icons are different. Okay, so how MVVM looks like? You were right. 2 boxes with arrows and full MVVM support.
And for Bootstrap, it looks differently. So it didn't just copy.
Yeah, like also a similar pattern, but like it's different. It looks nice. So like, who am I to criticize that? I wouldn't be able to draw that. Yeah. So who am I to criticize that?
I don't want to jump to so quickly because it's just a few lines.
Yeah. But like controls are started with Tailwind, customize using your Tailwind config, data binding. That's also like fine. Replace complex Tailwind utility class stacks with concise .vvm components. What was there in Bootstrap? Here is IntelliSense. Yeah,
it even created a different things to say.
30 plus ready-made controls. I hope it counted the controls there. Just didn't copy.
Sure, about 30 plus.
Yeah, we have Bootstrap 3.4.5, so it figured out we support Tailwind 3 and 4.
Oh, it even has them laid out.
Okay, and probably
where
looks
where
correct.
Does it take us?
it get access to that folder. You were scared to give it access to that folder, and it could make a list of all components.
That's true.
Data pager, we have it.
And if you click on
process timeline, it actually saw the folder because
Yep.
process timeline is a unique control. We have it only in Tailwind, so it did what we needed to do. Yeah,
and even top
here
menu
are
and
no
side menu.
examples, but it figure we will need example for buttons and actions. Button group drop down button, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Form inputs, here are form controls and layouts. Grid view pager, okay, typical, everybody needs that.
Yep.
And like navigation, top menu, side menu, this would be difficult to make examples for because this is an iframe.
Yeah.
And to simulate response, maybe it could be like, I will ask him to figure out later. Notifications and alerts, okay, that's also very nice. So the next step would be make these code examples because it didn't give us a code, and also like
and we have
these
the code
points,
examples.
these are iframes to a separate web application, a different project in that solution that contains pages with these samples. So I will have to use a separate prompt to ask it to make these things, but like I think the result is quite nice. You can get 30 days trial, or you can get started. It points to the right direction in the documentation. We don't have it yet, but my colleague is working on that. So it figured out links that are not exist, but they will in the future. So I'm quite satisfied.
Okay, and it's keeping in sync with the other pages. That's one of the important things, to have references. We just wanted to create a new page that looks the same as the other ones, but with different text.
So my next prompt would be make this, put here Tailwind. And there are other examples how to do that, so probably that would work out. And also on this page we need to add another column. And shall I ask it how much the package should cost?
I don't know.
Let's try it. Why not?
Well, we have big plans for Tailwind, so
what price for Tailwind UI would you suggest? I don't know if it can see the Bootstrap and business spec prices. Bootstrap is 99. How much it was? 279. 279.
And support.
No. Support is it's doing an analysis. I'm curious what it will tell us.
Okay, so let's see.
Because basically most of these components were implemented by AI. So the question is now how AI values its own work.
It actually said the thing I wanted it to say. Because Tailwind UI is supposed to be in the middle. Have nice styling and functionality.
And if we add more advanced controls such as datetime pickers, autocomplete, and combo box with server side search and these things.
These things.
Probably that would increase the price. Then it correctly found out that it's getting to business spec territory. So like it increased. I think that could be. It could. Okay, it suggested me bundle. So just do it.
Whoa. Just bundle it up.
Just add it to the price list. I could continue like that. Add that to the price list, make a migration for the database that would seed up that product to the database with that price you suggested yourself. And like, then I can just sip a coffee and like, it's amazing. I love it.
This is satire. This is not how we do product discovery.
Really? Is it really?
Hopefully.
Last 3 months? Yeah,
for the last 3 months it was wild.
No, it's crazy how the world changed. Because I remember a year ago I was on the MVP summit. We saw some internal demos of what is published right now, like how you can assign issue to Copilot. And at that time, it was already public. It was some experimental project. There was a blog post on the GitHub site about that, and we saw, okay, like it's totally like it's a science fiction. Like you assign an issue to Copilot, and there is so many things that can go wrong. So like if it works, it would be only on 5% of the smallest issues. Like here, I don't like this error message. Make it more, make it more meaningful, or things like that. And like 1 year later, not even 1 year later, like 6 months later, we are in the opposite side. Like how many issues you would not assign to this agent, and how many tasks you would start by looking at the code. Yeah, even though we saw that sometimes it struggled to find the correct ways, it was doing crazy techniques to find what it needed. Finally, it found it, and the fix or the change was quite correct. It didn't try to steal my secrets. It didn't try to do anything bad. It tried to do what I wanted in the project. And it's a huge code base, so I still partially have it in my head, so I know which files, which areas it should touch, which it shouldn't. So if it starts doing something crazy, I would stop it. And that's probably the difference between total vibe coding, where it generates thousands of files and you have no idea what's there. And here it's doing just a small surgical cuts in the code base. So I can be pretty sure if I look in the Git changes, I can be pretty sure it didn't break anything on the website. I would be, after some testing, I would probably be happy just merging this to the production.
And also it's important for us to be playing around with it, because it's here. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. Nobody can stop it.
Yes.
Even if they increase the price of tokens to 10 times, that's okay. Maybe I would I would not write a code anymore. I would not write a code anymore. I would just do that, and I would be crying that here is 10x and not 1x. 1x is fine. I like 1x. I like 1x, really. Okay. So I think that that was how we can use AI in .vvm. We will be publishing more information and this skill soon. And there was nothing that special to writing .vvm content. It was more text and HTML. But from my experience, it helps the model not to hallucinate controls. Still, we need to do some iterations on that to help to put more information there and maybe remove some redundancies, something that model doesn't make mistakes in. So why have it in the skill? And this will be published, I guess, quite soon. However, we're still figuring out how to distribute that thing. If it should be just on the GitHub, so people can link it, or how to do it. We will see. Okay. So that's, I guess, everything for today's episode. It was quite long. It's 2 hours. Maybe we should split topics. So we will try to stay more grounded for the next episode.
Yes.
Or not.
We'll see.
We will see. Okay, so we hope that you enjoyed this episode, and see you next time with Tom
and Dave.